In Argentina, presidential candidate Sergio Massa has the elections that will compete in the second round against Javier Milei. In Iran, government announced that Israel's aim is forced displacement of the population for the Gaza Strip and the West Bank to Egypt and Jordan. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, violent fighting broke out over the weekend between M23 rebels and pro-government soldiers and armed groups. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Argentina, with 98.51% of the votes counted, presidential candidate Sergio Massa leads the elections that will compete in runoff against Javier Milei. In his live report, the Electoral Chamber announced that the candidate of the Union for the Homeland, Sergio Massa, obtained 36.68% of the votes. In second place, the ultra-right-wing Javier Milei from Liberty Advances, who got 29.98% of the votes, and is ahead of the patriarchal Burrage from Together for Change, who reached at 23.83%. It is worth mentioning that the Electoral Authority registered 77.67% voter turnout. After seeing the results, Sergio Massa called on the different Argentinian political forces for a government of national unity. Presidential candidate Sergio Massa thanks the Argentinian people who went to the polls.
I want to thank the more than 25 million Argentines who went to vote. Vote for who will vote, because 40 years after the birth of our new democratic era, somehow Argentines manifest embrace this system as a system to elect those who govern.
In Argentina, presidential candidate Javier Milei said to the Argentines that it is the most important election that they are facing and will embrace again the ideas of freedom that made Argentina great in the 19th century.
But above all, I want you to realize that today we are facing the most important election of the last 100 years. A choice that will pass us if we want to continue with this model that Kirchnerism defends, or if we want to embrace again the ideas of freedom that are what made Argentina great in the 19th century, and that all countries that embrace the ideas of freedom progress.
In Mexico, the Summit Conference on Migration ended with a joint declaration condemning unilateral cohesive measures. The summit was held in Palenque, Chiapas, and addressed issues such as the causes of human mobility, poverty, inequality, and lack of jobs in countries with high rates of migration. The head of state of Colombia, Cuba, Venezuela, and Honduras participated in the meeting, as well as diplomatic representatives of Belize, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, and Panama. For her part, the Foreign Minister of Mexico, Alicia Bárcena, announced the agreement established by the leaders in the meeting where they considered sanctions as one of the causes that promote forced migration. The Chancellor of Venezuela, Ivan Gil, said that the migration has to be dealt with in a proper manner and respecting the human rights of its citizens.
We have always said that migration is a phenomenon that must be dealt with in a proper manner, in accordance with international law, respecting human rights, and under no circumstances it should be used for political purposes. I believe that today represents a turning point when we have seen the leaders commit themselves to this document, to this declaration.
For his part, the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cuba, Carlos Nicasio, confirmed that the economic blockade imposed by the United States against the Caribbean island is one to make hostage to the Cuban migration.
In the case of Cuba, whose migration has an impact on all the countries of the region, our President called attention to the fact that in addition to the natural conditions that provoke migration and the migration of our region that is essentially directed towards the United States, there are extraordinary and one could say artificial factors that influence this migration. In this first place, there is the economic blockade, which is a policy that has lasted for more than 60 years, and which is a policy expressly aimed at generating depressing income, generating poverty, hunger, and trying to provoke a political change. And naturally, this causes a political stimulus for migration of people who want to leave this scenario.
Let's take a short break. But remember, you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English. We'll find news in different formats, new dates, and more. All studies coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Iranian government announced that Israel's aim is to force displacement of the population from the Gaza Strip and the West Bank to Egypt and Jordan. These statements were made during a phone conversation between Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian and his Egyptian counterpart amid diplomatic consultations with officials of Islamic countries on the need to put an end to Israeli war crimes against the people of Gaza. Tehran also announced that the Iranian Red Crescent is ready to send humanitarian aid through the Rafah crossing to Gaza. Israel's siege against the Palestinian people continues, and in the last 24 hours, the occupying forces shelled and killed more than 400 civilians in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. According to local media reports, a new bombardment of the Gaza Strip took place at dawn on Monday, killing at least 45 people, 23 in the Khan Younis area in the south and more than 10 in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported that 436 Palestinians had been killed during this period, including 188 children. The health agency also stated that so far there had been 5,182 deaths in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank since the beginning of the Israeli aggression on October 7th. The Palestinian Prime Minister condemned the crimes and all the Israeli attacks against the inhabitants of Gaza.
What we hear from the leaders of the occupying state regarding the preparation for a ground invasion means continuing to commit new crimes, atrocities, forced displacement, and killing for the sake of killing and revenge. We condemn the stances that constitute a license to kill and a political cover to commit massacres and self-destruction of Gaza and its people.
The Prime Minister described the events that have occurred so far as a genocide at the hands of a criminal war machine.
This war is a genocide carried out by a criminal machine with a barbaric colonialist mentality that craves killing and takes pleasure in the torture of innocent people and children, and bomb mosques and churches.
Monday marks 17 days since these Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. Thousands of Palestinians have lost their lives, and the rest have been forced to flee their homes. Hospitals have become their new home for Gaza. Our correspondent Noha Razin has more details about the situation there at the moment. Let's see.
It has been 17 days of this Israeli war on Gaza. The situation is deteriorating. Right now we are inside the Shuhada Al-Aqsa hospital, which is one of Gaza's main hospitals in southern Gaza. But this place became like a home for hundreds, if not thousands, of Palestinian residents who fled their homes from northern Gaza and also from central Gaza. I want just to show you what we have here. These are actually tents. The people brought some fabric and they covered this area of the hospital, and they are actually residing inside it. They are living inside it. They are using the hospital's bathrooms as their bathrooms. They are eating of what the people donating for them, because actually these people have left everything behind. These people left their clothes, their food supplies, many of their belongings and their homes. Today, Egypt also allowed a number of aid trucks to enter the Gaza Strip, 20 trucks on Saturday, 17 trucks on Sunday, and today, Monday, we also have 20 trucks. However, that's not enough for the needs of the Gaza Strip. Also, let me add that most of this aid will be distributed on people who are residing in southern Gaza. However, those residing in northern Gaza will not get any of this help because basically the UN is not even operating in those areas. Nur Harazin, TeleSUR, Gaza.
And the state of alert continues among in the southern border areas of Lebanon after the persistent Israeli bombardment and the response of the Al-Ami resistance. According to the National News Agency, villagers in the western sector from Ras Al Nakura to the town of Ramed and the lands adjacent to the Blue Line endured a night under Israeli flares and the overlight of reconnaissance planes. The Lebanese Red Cross, in coordination with the United Nations Centering Force and the Army, pulled 3 bodies after midnight from Halta Heights in the south of the country. On Sunday, Israeli forces shelled the Marin plane and the outskirts of Aitarum. Israeli strikes targeted the Al Marad area in the vicinity of Hula town. Spectacular day of BMX at the Pan American Games, especially for Colombian cyclists.
BMX racing cycling left us on a spectacular day with a special touch for Colombia. For the man, the gold medal went to the North American Cameron Larson, the silver medal went to his compatriot Cameron Wood, and the bronze medal to the Colombian Carlos Ramirez, who won his first medal in the Pan American Games, and it was in Santiago 2023. The Colombian has 2 Olympic medals in his record, bronze in Rio 2016 and Tokyo 2020. For the women's division was the closing of the day where the joy prevailed, not only for the result, but also for the final podium. The favorite and triple Olympic medalist, Mariana Pajón, the queen of BMX, won the gold medal. The silver medal went to the Canadian Molly Simpson, and the 3rd place on the podium went to the also Colombian Gabriela Boye.
You can't imagine, it's something very special since the first one in 2011. I am still here giving it with all my heart, giving it with all my will and well. It was a complicated year for me, and then to come here and accomplish this is very beautiful. It was a goal that I had for this year, and it was accomplished.
To all the Colombians who are watching me on TeleSUR, thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for believing in us, for dreaming with us, and be sure that we continue fighting to leave Colombia on the top of those podiums. This is how the BMX circuit was in its second final day on the Pan American Games in Santiago 2023. In the camera of Bastian Marino, reported for TeleSUR by Enrique Quique Guevara.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel and TeleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, sub-stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, violent fighting broke out over the weekend between M23 rebels and pro-government soldiers and armed groups. Since October 1st, renewed and intensified fighting has taken place between our groups in North Kivu province, particularly in the western part of the M23 control areas in Rututu and Misisi territories at least. 20 civilians were murdered and over 30 injured, with over 84,700 people were forced to flee their homes, and many of which are seeking safety around MONUSCO bases. The risk of escalated violence in the affected areas, including those hosting displaced persons, remains very high, and further population movements are to be expected. To date, 2.4 million people are displaced in North Kivu province, and humanitarian actors are preparing to rapidly set up a response. However, humanitarian access in the conflict zone is constrained by the ongoing fighting. The president of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum, ousted in a coup at the end of July and accused by the military of trying to flee, is in Niamey with his wife and his son and is in good health, said the FAP. On Thursday night, the military regime in Niamey affirmed that Mohamed Bazoum attempted to escape with his family and others, trying to take the Nigeria helicopters belonging to a foreign power on the outskirts of Niamey. On Friday, the group of Bazoum's lawyers strongly denied those accusations. The French President Emmanuel Macron stressed his deep concern about the uncertain situation of Mohamed Bazoum. Since the coup that overthrew him on July 26, Mohamed Bazoum remains captain and refuses to tender his resignation. On September 18, he appealed to the West African Court for his release and the restoration of constitutional order in Niger. And nearly 1,500 African migrants have arrived on the shore of the Canary Islands this Saturday. The rescue service of the Spanish archipelago announced on Sunday that one of the boats was carrying a record number of 321 people. A total of 1,127 migrants arrived on the island in different precarious boats between Friday night and Saturday on Sunday morning. According to the emergency services, the migrants come from sub-Saharan Africa. On Saturday, a wooden drug-guide canoe arrived from the island of Valiero with 321 people on board. According to the latest figure from the Spanish Interior Minister, the archipelago received 23,537 migrants between January 1st and October 15, almost 80% more than the same period last year. In Japan, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida declared on Monday that he is preparing to take bold economic measures. Among the measures his administration will take are income tax cuts for inflation with household and a tax break for business to promote investment. In a speech at the opening of a new parliamentary session, Kishida said the time had come to move from a low-cost, low-wage, cost-cutting economy to one underpinned by growth led by sustainable wage increases and active investment. The Prime Minister said he was determined to help citizens cope with the impact of rising food prices, utilities, and other costs that had been outpaced wage increases. And we have come to the end of this brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.